Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Old School's weekly Q&A. You got me as your host this week. Rare treat, I suppose. And I'm joined by the amazing Mod Ash and equally amazing Mod Arcane. How are you both doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I've not been on in a while. So first time in a couple of months, I think, actually.
I'm doing great, thanks. I've even had a vaccine jab.
Amazing.
Jealous.
I'm jealous. I haven't got mine yet. But
I think I'm a bit older than the rest of you around here.
To be honest, not far off here. Not far off here anymore. It's now, I think it's 30 plus in the UK who can get vaccines. But yeah, let's not stick to that topic. What we've been up to this week? It's been a big week in old school RuneScape. What have you been doing, Ash? How the last few days been for you?
I've got a cough. But apart from that, it's been great, thanks. We put out clans and it's got some graphical issues, but as far as I can tell, the worlds haven't all fallen apart from it. So fingers crossed. Been a lot of fun, and it's great to see so many people enjoying it. I looked up the numbers just before we came online, and 76,000 players are now in clans, with over 4,000 clans created. Which also means that the clans are bigger than I thought they were going to be, on average. And yeah, it's been great to see so many people getting to use it, getting to use new chat systems for it. I had a great time watching.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see all the clans like gathered at the Grand Exchange and in the clan hub and everything. It's been a wonderful couple of days, to be honest. But yeah, obviously, Clans has just come out as of yesterday, so we are celebrating this release. You can join us on World 525 at the Clan Hub and come and show off your clan's new gear, your capes and your Vexillums. We want to see them. Get over there, World 525. And I'll come to you, Arcane. What have you been doing this week? Been all right?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. So this week, as well as the past 3 or 4, I can't remember, I've been working on top hard mods. So that was a project that came from ideation, and we've been working pretty hard on it since you guys have been screaming for PVM updates. So we really tried to get this through to you as fast as possible, and I think it's looking really good. I've been really happy with it. Since the final stage of QA now, so we've got like less than a week now until it actually launches. I'm really excited. Hope you guys are as well.
Yeah, it's looking really good. All right, let's move on to the usual announcements. So, !game update in the chat. And you can go and find out much more about our brand new clan system, learn how to create your clan, find new members, assign your hierarchies, run events, and generally live out your ultimate clantasy. Whoever wrote that. I'm frustrated that I've had to read it, but you're all welcome. We've also got updates to music, competitions, and more. To find all this and more by using !game update. And as Arcane mentioned, next week's update will be Theatre of Blood modes. So we'll have both new Theatre of Blood modes coming to Old School next week. You'll be able to take on a new level of challenge with hard mode, or enjoy a more lore-focused experience with the introduction of story mode. With that being said, to make sure we're ready for its release, and due to the bank holiday next week and everything, next week's game update will be on Thursday, June the 3rd, instead of the Wednesday, so a day later than normal. And also in the very near future, we have Old School's newest quest, A Kingdom Divided. !AKD in the chat for that. It's coming in June 2021. With the release just around the corner, it's time to get excited for the next chapter in Great Kiren's storyline. Get up to date with everything A Kingdom Divided, including trailers, the return of Posty Pete, and the new Kiren Chronicle, The Plot and the Potion. That's !AKD for that. And last announcement is !merch. because there's plenty of nostalgic loveliness in store right now as the latest merch celebrates all of the wonderful things that have launched in this month over the past 20 years, including a range of Slayer Helm pins, limited edition glitter Maxscape key rings, and more. For all of this, exclamation mark merch. And as always, if you've got anything you want to ask the team or myself, please just at oldschoolRS with your questions. And so we'll move on to the player creation showcase. I see some of the awesome stuff the players have been making. So I believe this is the Mightiest Bankstander by Pixely. Awesome piece of art there. The Dragonfall helm looking really, really slick. We'll move on to the Lego Barrows Brothers collection by GoPudes 2018. And that is awesome. I would have that. I'd have that on my shelving unit if I could buy one. That looks really clean. Absolutely incredible. That is so cool. Man, I'm jealous. I really want that. That's absolutely incredible. Take my money. As I use this in the chat, I'll take my money. We'll move on to OSRS tattoo design of player. It's commission by KillerFishy24.
Darrock's 6-pack. Fantastic.
Amazing. And lastly, but not least, GF made a Tuztok Jad cake and blue pea hat for my B-Day. Great as massive slang. That is awesome. Incredible stuff as always from our players. And the last thing to show off before we move on to questions are the login screen competition finalists for our Kingdom Divided's login screen. So there was a lot of amazing artwork submitted for this competition. It was a really tough choice, narrowing it down to just a few. So we did want to say a massive thanks to everyone who took part. Genuinely, it was a really high quality. We all voted on them as a team and looked through them all, and it was really tough to make the choices on it. But with that said, here are the 4 finalists. So this is one of the options by Nancy. Incredible piece of art there. And we'll move on to the next one. This one's by Need Plums. Incredible. Again, to be honest, any of these get chosen the winner, I'll be pretty happy. Option 3 by Cherry Cake 4. I really like the aesthetic of like the burning town and everything in the background. It really gives an insight into the story, what's going on. And option 4 by Park Shin Hyde. It's a different take on it, and it really gives you a bit of perspective on Kieren. So I hope you can all agree, all 4 of those are absolutely amazing, and you'll be able to vote on that soon. So. Right, I guess with that, we got some action going on in World 525 right there. Clan festivities. Go on, get yourself to 525 with your clan Vexillums, your clan capes. Show them off. Go and join in the little celebration we got going. And with that, we'll move on to questions. We'll start with some clans questions, isn't that a hot topic? So we've got a question from Fitmed Cook. What measures are in place to prevent clan name hoarding? Regular in-game names are frequently kept on inactive accounts and traded for large amounts of gold. Are there mechanics in place to free up clan names if it's clearly not an active clan?
I'm afraid we don't have an automated thing for that at this time, rather like we don't for regular in-game names on accounts either. I would really love if we could get that kind of thing in future if nobody in the clan had logged in for a period of time. Mind you, a hoarder would be able to pop in occasionally to achieve that. It's not like we're requiring membership to be in a clan or anything like that. Great to have, I think, some kind of inactivity detector in future if we can, but nothing to announce for now. Sorry.
All right, thank you, Ash. And the next question from Oren Jeebs. Hey mods, as a member of a clan that enjoys doing drop parties for their members, it can be really frustrating when people not in the CC find out about them and crash hoping to take some of the items that are not meant for them. We really like using Balloon Bonanza as it's truly a random way to distribute items. And I was wondering if there was a way we could get a private party room for clan halls.
We'd like that very much. In fact, it was on the wish list of things we wanted to do for the initial launch. Didn't end up making the cut in the end because we ran some tech difficulties involving item storage in the halls. You may notice, for example, that clan coffer, currently capped at 1 million coins, only allows coins for a start, doesn't allow very many of them. As you can see, we're a bit limited at the moment for storing items in there. And while we are optimistic we'll be able to make the coffer bigger for coins, storing a wider range of items, still pretty iffy. Which means party chests are a problem. Now, my hope here is that with Group Ironman due to be developed over the coming months, some of the system, the infrastructure being made for that, will hopefully allow us to do more with clans, because the two systems will be part of the same, grouping foundation. Which means that if we get the ability for Group Ironmen to store some items communally, something I think many of them are very keen to get, we'd become able to do that kind of thing for clans as well, which means a better coffer, maybe a party chest, maybe all kinds of things. So we like it, can't do it now. Sorry, we would have liked to, but we strongly support this idea. I may have slightly gone over the next some of the next 5 questions as well, sorry.
That's absolutely fine, we'll touch on them quickly and go past them if they've been covered. Xanthi1 asks, what are some future clan updates, expanding on the release content, y'all are brainstorming to potentially pull?
Well, we're starting with some of the smaller quick wins, solving little niggles that people have been having with the existing system. For example, there was one came up about how when you resign as leader, you don't necessarily know who's going to become the next leader. Ideally, it'd be the next most senior person in tie-breaking based on when they join the clan, if necessary. But it would be clear for people if they could see you're resigning, leadership will go to so-and-so. So that kind of small thing. Players have suggested they didn't think some of the icons, the rank icons, are the right colour. Apparently Ruby is too orange and looks like a Zenite. Fair enough. I've been trying, while I started programming last night, and I think I got it working first thing this morning, was letting you back into a guest channel if you were in it on logout, trying to get you back in again automatically without having to click so much. It's probably the dirtiest hack I've written in a very long time, but it did seem to be working when I tried it myself this morning. So I sent that to QA. They're working through that. Basically, these aren't big expansions on clans. These are just polishing the thing we've already given you. Now, in terms of bigger expansions, well, we've covered party chests as something we'd have liked to do. We've also got suggestions in there for letting you have like a combat ring, like in a POH. You see the clan hall's got 2 rooms full of boxes for no reason. Well, them's not just boxes storage, them's rooms to be used for future expansions when we've got a bit more dev time to put more stuff in there. And I do think a combat ring, a party chest, maybe the ability to rent more facilities rather than just being given them. You've got a clan coffer, why don't we take some money out of it and let you have... Well, it's one player suggested we have Bob Barter be able to send his apprentice to come and do decanting in your clan hall for a fee. We could look at all of that kind of thing. We got a bit of space for it, and frankly, if we need more space, we can just push out into the garden a little. It won't be a problem. Let you maybe choose a bit of scenery would be nice. Originally, we'd have liked to let you have a choice of clan hall theme. As you've seen, there is one, but we put out 3 designs in the blogs weeks ago now, and given a bit more artist time, we'd like to be able to implement the other 2, and it's been suggested by players that they'd like to earn them rather than just being given them as a switch. So that kind of thing we'd love to get to work on. Of course, the more time we spend polishing clans, the longer it will be before we get onto Group Ironman. There's a balance to be found somewhere in there.
Amazing stuff. There are a lot of future potential, right? And that's what clans are. This is the base system. Everyone can join a clan. You've got that representation in game now, and it's absolutely amazing to have it in old school. All right, next question from Benos the Great. Could you allow us to upgrade certain aspects of the clan hall? We have literally just sort of touched on that, so I'd suggest we move to the next question. Jeremiah 1119. Could you give us a quick rundown of items that didn't make the clan cut in version 1, but you'd like to see in a future iteration? We mostly covered that. Anything else to add?
Well, clan high scores, so that you can track things you've done towards your clan. A clan collection log is a very popular approach as well. These are things that the tech doesn't currently support, but I do hope that with more infrastructure made for Group Ironman, maybe more of these things will become possible, so that clans can benefit indirectly from Group Ironman, just like Group Ironman will be benefiting from clans by having a grouping system exist.
Awesome. And next question is, why can the coffer only contain 1 million gold?
Rather like we commented in the news post, this is very new tech for old school. You know what can go wrong with a thing that stores money. Either it loses you money or it gives you infinite money. Neither of these prospects is ideal. So we'd like for the moment to start with a relatively conservative one. Make sure that things seem stable before we try and take it a lot further. You don't mind.
Absolutely. Has606 asks, could we get a sort by rank option for the new clan chat tab?
Bizarrely, no. I originally tried doing sorting by all kinds of criteria, like who's online, alphabetical, other options as well for the other side panels, like your friends list and your friends chat list. I tried doing that without engine support years ago. It looked all right, but if you had too long a list, it just crashed and didn't display the list properly at all. We found that the cutoff for what we can do without engine help is under 200, pretty much. Clans can be a lot longer than that. Means that since we can't execute enough code to do even a decent sorting algorithm on that long a list, we're going to have to ask for the engine team to come back and add us more sorting options. For the moment, the engine offers alphabetical. There's actually a bug there at the moment. I think on the side panel, it'll show alphabetical but case sensitive. So all the letters A through Z uppercase, followed by everyone lowercase at the bottom. They're due to do a fix for that, although it wasn't considered as urgent as some of the other stuff. In the meantime, we're going to have to ask the engine team to enable more options for the sorting as well. Rank is one I'd have very much liked, and I regret that we weren't able to offer this at launch.
All right, the next question is asking, could we please get a toggle to change the clan chat command between 1/ and 2/?
I'd agree to that as a toggle. I've seen others suggest that we just change it, which sounds very unwise. But as a toggle sounds great. Although, you're aware, right, that if you just select the clan tab and type, the chat goes into the clan chat without you having to type any slashes at all. Now, mobile users got that for the channel tab, the old friends chat channels, years ago, but desktop users didn't. Not quite sure why that was, but since for clans we were enabling typing directly into the tab just by having it as the active tab, we fixed it. We retrofitted it to the old chat channels at the same time for consistency. So hopefully that'll be a little help for you not to have to type any slashes at all. Also, for those who don't want to type 3 slashes to type in a guest chat, /G is accepted for that as well. There's a message in game when you join a guest channel to tell you about that one.
Awesome. Thanks for the detailed answer, Ash. And the next question is from Johnny Awesome 324. Can there be a possibility of adding a clan shop or store? It could be used to facilitate trade between the clan and outsiders or members of the clan for things such as runes, weapons, potions, etc., etc. I understand if there may be limitations, but it could be a solution to trading between players while circumventing the Grand Exchange.
I love it, although for the moment, since we can't even store a lot of items just for your clan themselves, having those items not just stored but transacted via a shop, totally not on the table. I'm very sorry, I would have loved to do that one.
I wonder where the incentive would be for someone to purchase something from your clan, as opposed to just a Grand Exchange, right? Because this Grand Exchange is always just going to be more convenient. I was thinking that maybe this could be done in a way, not right now because of tech restraints, but in terms of incentive. But what about if players could donate items as opposed to money to a store, and then they'll get put on the Grand Exchange, people will buy stuff on the Grand Exchange, and the money would go directly to the clan instead. So it's almost like people are able to group sell things. That might be an interesting way that people might actually want to use. So otherwise, I don't really see people just looking for specific clans to buy blood runes or something. I feel a little arbitrary.
It would need to serve a purpose, wouldn't it? And it's not obvious to me what that purpose would be just yet, but I do love that kind of feature. If it does serve a purpose and we get, obviously, the technical ability to do it. Either way, let's move on. The next question is, the fact that you can sit at the new tables in the clan hall is great. Are we planning to implement a sitting feature to anywhere in Old School?
I'm glad you like it, although we can't take a lot of credit for that. It's just a player-owned house chair code being called from another place. So, yeah, you can sit elsewhere in the game. It's in a player-owned house. It's been there since 2006. This is, well, I think the only changes we had to make was to, when you sit down on a bench, in player-owned houses, there's never any walls adjacent to the benches, so you can always get off to the left or to the right. For clan halls, you have to be a bit more picky, because if you go off to one side, you might end up intersecting with the balcony. But no, this isn't actually that new. Glad you like it, though.
There's something weirdly immersive about it, right? Yesterday when it all got released and my clan got their whole setup and everyone just sat down and you just sat there on this virtual chair, just looking at a table, and you're not doing anything, but for some reason it's just so satisfying. I don't understand it, but it's good.
Looks like somebody got auto-logged.
You've been there 6 hours, mate.
Hey, it said 10,000 cycles. Use the potato.
And the last question relating to clans, it's only kind of semi-related to clans, but when we get in Group Ironman, now that clans is out of... We get this question every week, of course, but I guess now it's what is the plan for Group Ironman? When's that going into development? You could just offer a bit of info, I guess.
Winter 2017. So now that Clans is out, obviously we do have some stuff to deal with before we can just move on and abandon it, especially as there have been so many thoughts of things we could improve about it, things we could add to it. So we are going to spend a little time doing some of this stuff before we move on to the next big project. But in the meantime, the designs for Group Ironman are coming together. One of our colleagues has been putting together thoughts about how you'll be able to a place just off Tutorial Island where you'll be put, where you meet other players and group up with them before you make it to Lumbridge and start doing things freely. Well, as I say, the designs are coming together. Hopefully, once we've got some more detailed designs, we'll be able to do proper project scoping so that the engine team will know how long it'll take them to do their side of it, how long our team will take to do our side of it. And because at the moment it's not like we've got a secret date in mind that only Jagex knows. At the moment, frankly, Jagex doesn't have a date in mind, and until we've got a detailed enough design, we shouldn't try and predict one. I see it as a few months due out later this year, because that feels like the rough size of it. Good luck.
It's happening though, and it's in progress, which is obviously amazing. I think there's a few interesting design discussions to have around Group Ironman. I mean, unlike regular Ironman, I guess regular Ironman can't group up. So, but for content like Chambers of Xeric and like Theatre of Blood, we let Ironmen play with regular accounts, such that you can still get through the content. With a group Ironman, one could make the design for like Theatre of Blood that you can only do it with your group. And perhaps that's fitting to the game mode, but would actually be probably more restrictive than what regular Ironmen have. So there's some interesting options there, I think. I'm torn, to be honest, on which way to take that.
And there's
I
any
think the
number
most exciting part for me for Group Ironman is just like dupes. Because like, that's like one of the worst things about an Ironman. You're just getting duplicate after duplicate after duplicate. You're on your 18th Dexterous Prayer scroll, your 7th of Vernic, like whatever. Just being able to actually get one of those drops and actually share it between your group, because they might not even want to do that content at the end of the day, right? They might specialize in something else. Being able to actually share that with other people is such a good feeling at the end of the day. The fact you can get more value out of your content and your hours played. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, it is a really exciting release, and obviously it's something we've talked about for more than a year at this stage. So glad it's going in, and designs are happening, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it again in the near future. But with that said, let's move on to the rest of the questions. So, non-clan related, we're moving on to new topics here. We got a question from Immortal. Can the Ring of Suffering dialogue be changed from toggle recoil effect to disable recoil effect or enable recoil effect? Basically, communicate what the current state is on the option. And sorry, this is my fault. I wrote this in the first place.
I think generally why we always have things like this that have like more of a generic operation on it effectively is because otherwise we need two versions of the item. So like right now we actually define what the text is in the name of the item. So I think like the plank sack was a recent one where it was like use plank sacks to either withdraw or deposit, and it'd have like some smart logic to determine if you actually wanted to withdraw or deposit depending on what's in the sack, what's in your inventory, whatever. So it could be done. It'd be kind of awkward.
For what it's worth, there's some tech changes I know about that should make it a lot more feasible for us to edit the options on items in your inventory. We can currently just about do it while the thing's equipped, but not in the main inventory side panel. But moving forward, there's something that Mod Lenny's been working on that should allow us to do it in future.
Is this with the we've like extrapolated the inventory, right? So instead of being hard coded in the engine, how our inventory works, we actually have complete control of that now. Should be pretty cool.
Exactly. The inventory will be moved to the our modern interface format, which will allow us to do things, and obviously much more than that as well. We can move the options around dynamically on things like rune pouches and that kind of thing. So whatever people want. All right, moving on to the next question. Sorry, Ash, go on.
I was going to say, I wrote something of the sort back in the other RuneScape, would have been about 2009, 2010. Being able to do the same kind of thing here with that infantry rewrite would be very pleasing. Sorry, back to you.
All good. Sorry, let me know if you can hear drilling in the background at all. But maybe you can't. I don't know if my mic picks it up. Rickness666 asks, can we get new pet count for total pets in game? I think they're talking like the data on how many of each pet do people have. Last numbers we got were 21st of February 2020. So yeah, it's been a little while. It's something we'd have to ask the analytics team to have a look at, which they've been dealing with a whole lot of stuff recently. They've been very busy. We can ask for that. Perhaps it's something they could have a quick look at. Maybe
Do you
not,
reckon
there
this
are no
is something
guarantees.
Do you reckon this is something we could actually get in-game, like literally in-game at some point? Like, say we actually extracted all the data and like had a timestamp before an update went down, and then after that we just like incremented it every time a player got a pet? Like, would that be something interesting? I don't know where we display it. Maybe it'd be a board at Pribius's house, and she has like an interface with all of the pets and how many exist in the game. Maybe how many are insured or something like that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think we could. We'd have to try and get the current value and put it in. And this is one problem, like our data feeds, right? When we do get data through our analytics team, that would be like several hours out of date, right? So you would probably miss a few. But to be honest, I don't think people necessarily care whether it's 16,003 or it's 16,044. So, you know, like we could probably go with something like that, and it would give you the picture, even if it's not exact.
That's really cool.
All right, move on then to the next question from Flopple. With the changes to what counts as a demon, there are many more places to use Arclight, but no new sources of shards. Could metal dragons have a buffed drop rate of ancient shards and totem pieces? That would also have the benefit of making metal dragon tasks worthwhile.
I think generally metal dragon tasks are worthwhile at a certain point, like once you've got things like Dragon Hunter Lance and enough accuracy. They're pretty good tasks already for points because they're usually quite a short task. The game designer in me is like, no, because Arclight's only purely balanced around you having a limited amount of shards in the first place. So then if you have an unlimited amount and you can use it everywhere, that's bad. It's just overpowered. But then there's also like the player in me that's just like, yeah, I want to use this cool weapon everywhere. And I understand any frustrations around that. I think generally, as long as you're like somewhat conservative around it, it's fine. I know Cerberus is probably going to be a massive drain on charges these days. But I think we're not in an awful place. Maybe it'll get out of control one day and we need to address it at some point. But I don't think it's in a really bad place right now.
Yeah, it does mean you have to weigh up where you use it, and that's probably, that's a good choice a player maybe has to make. But we can always review it if we do feel it's wrong. But I probably wouldn't do metal dragons as the solution either. Like, I think we'd just review the rates that they drop from things in the catacombs. Next question is from Sinley. What are some weird and funny bugs that the team has experienced when working on new content? I'll come to you, Ash, on that.
I do like bugs. There was an interesting one we found while we're testing clans. See, all our test servers are connected to the same chat system, but some of our test servers had the clan system and some of them didn't, depending on what the developer was working on. So while a bunch of us were testing clans on one test world, poor Mod Ed was on a different test world, working on a Kingdom Divided. And his world, of course, didn't have the clan system in it. So when we started, but his account was still flagged to be part of our clan because he'd been testing clan stuff previously. Which meant that when we started typing in the clan chat, he got the messages, but his version of the game didn't know how to render them. So it just showed there were standard game messages, not from anybody, just whatever we typed, turning up as a game message, although RuneScape would just send him these things. And once we realised what was going on, we started getting a bit more inventive about what we sent him, such as, you know what you did. It's your fault. Just little things to brighten up his day. Or the opposite. So we had some fun with that.
That's amazing.
I had a not a similar one with that, but in terms of like a weird bug happening, or not necessarily bug, just bad code on my part. I was implementing the wipe functionality for story mode Theory of Blood, where you have like 3 tries in story mode before your team entirely wipes. And I needed to basically code it in a way that no matter what point you wiped on, everything will get cleaned up correctly, etc., etc. And there's some points with Verzik where she like comes off of the throne and then she'll like sit down, like transition to another phase. She's technically deleting herself and then re-adding herself later on. And then, so if you died, like as she deleted herself, but before she added herself, you would end up with 2 Verziks. And that could just keep happening, and you just get more and more Verzics in the room, and it just got ridiculous so quickly. So that was something I had to stop pretty quickly. Pretty dangerous, pretty scary. Yeah, that's not a little spoiler for hard mode. That isn't how it works. That was unintentional.
Could be.
That's for expert mode coming in 2024. All right, let's move on to the next question. Go mole mode. Can the herb sack be changed so that when pickpocketing, herbs go directly into the sack? This is how the gem bag already works. It would be nice when pickpocketing ham members for easy clues.
I assume this wasn't done because it's incredibly niche. Like, I don't think there's many things you pickpocket and get like raw, dirty herbs. But, you know, it's a small quality of life, and I don't see why not.
Sounds all right to me. In fact,
do much.
We've enabled the gem sack for quite a few obscure things, like chests with traps on that you picklock. They know what a gem sack is, so I don't have a problem with the herb sack getting a niche one as well.
They're all open and closed now, right? Did we move them all over to use that sort of system? Yeah.
Yes, it's an occasionally common thing where players complain, I've been picking herbs and I'm not getting any herbs, but I got the XP, fix it. And they always post a screenshot of themselves with an open herb sack down there.
Maybe we should put a game mez in. Although it'd probably be filtered. It warrants being filtered, and most people have the filter off on. So
I think it would be a little spammy otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it, you missed the message. But anyway. Next question. Swag off, bro. Any estimated timeline? Oh, look, you've done it again. Unbelievable. You think someone would learn from happening the first time?
How do you feel about following a random player and seeing where they lead you as the live stream goes on, just for fun?
Sorry, I'm roasting the production team.
Use the potato, use the mash option. I think that one's better.
Wait, what? Sorry. Any estimated timeline of when the team plans to rework ranged items, i.e. the crystal bow? Anything the team can share about plans on this in terms of buffs and nerfs?
I think there's another blog out this week, but we've released quite a lot recently, in terms of like the stages of where that entire project's at. So if you've been keeping up to date with all those blogs, you'll know that we're getting to the end of this now. There's only like one or two more things to do in terms of communicating with you guys before we get to the last steps. So soon.
Last I heard, that blog was still looking good for the end of this week.
Absolutely, that's the aim. We have got like a rough, we've got the blog text sort of drafted out. We're still making small changes to it here and there and so on, but the goal is to get it out this week. And that's when you should hear more. As for when the changes will actually happen, it depends on, naturally, the feedback that we get to the blog and so on. It might be another iteration. It might be 2 more iterations. So we'll see. Right. Next question from RGM007. Would you be open to the idea of binding high-value items to an account to prevent hacking? Say something like a twisted bow is bound to an account. It's permanently connected to the account like a pet. And should you choose to bind the item, it can't be traded, dropped, and can't be brought into the wilderness or PvP worlds.
I understand the desire, but it feels very awkward. It'd need to have like a delay on it, because then otherwise a hacker could get on your account and then bind all your tradable items, and now all of a sudden you can't trade them or use them in some scenarios you might have wanted to. So we need a delay in it regardless. In terms of stopping you using it in certain places like wilderness and PvP worlds, it feels kind of awkward. Maybe there's something there.
Yeah, that is quite a difficult way to do it. To be honest, it's making it clear to the players, right, like how it works, and communicating that nicely in game. Perhaps if it's in this state, you would actually just destroy it in the wilderness and give gold. But I guess that's that wouldn't help the problem we're trying to solve, right? A hacker could still go and die in the wilderness. So, yeah.
Awkward.
Perhaps the way we would actually do it is you can have the items in the wilderness, you just won't lose them and you can't use them. Or maybe tie the checks into the combat system to say if you try to use the item and it's, bound, it won't attack. So I wouldn't want to put more burden on the combat code either. So there might be something in there that we can work out, because I get where it's coming from. All right, next question from Lord Eddard. Would you consider adding ore packs to the Shooting Star shop? Comets IRL contain tons of rare ore, so it would be thematic.
I'm not opposed to it. It kind of emphasizes the whole mining thing. I just wouldn't want it to become the thing you do to get ore, because I'd rather you do like actual mining to do ore.
I'm much the same.
I think it's like... Go on, Ash.
Oh, sorry. Some of the lower tier ores, like coal, not a lot of fun to mine. And if you've been doing Motherlode and you've got a higher level, you actually stop getting so much of the lower ones because Motherlode ramps up. So if the fact that you've been doing some mining elsewhere let you, get the lower tier ores in a way that's a bit less, tedious to get them and take them to the bank as they come out of the rock, I would actually be okay with that kind of thing. Of course, it wouldn't be the tons of rare ore this player's describing. It would be more like the tons of common ore that you don't want to have to mine and carry to a bank at your advanced level. But the principle's similar enough.
Yeah, I'm getting some people saying like, oh, what is actual mining and stuff like that. But like blast mine is like quite a good identity of like a decent XP method that gives you quite a lot of high value ore. Like that's good, and I wouldn't really want to take much away from that. So it's like, where do we want shooting stars to fit? It's supposed to be this like social XP thing with some small rewards on the side. I don't want it to be fully driven by like GP per hour or something like that, or even just like resources. And people are saying like, I'm not an ironman. And I'm like, yeah, well, there's still GP costs associated with ore, right? And like, yeah, you probably don't want coal because it doesn't really cost a lot. So then it's like the coal would be for players that actually want the coal, like Ironman. So again, like where do you really want this to be? I think it's in a good spot already, personally. It fulfills its niche.
Coal wouldn't be that rare ore there either, would it?
Yeah.
So maybe.
You found some uranium.
But, to be fair,
wait.
If there is a need for something else to be in that shop as a better thing to continuously spend the stuff on, I'm sure we could come up with something. But I get the desire for it not to necessarily be ore as well. All right, KG Payne asks, could we get an equipable rum bottle like the one that Capt'Arnav random event has? Preferably with the swing effect like the Ale of the Gods. It could be a reward from either the Pirate Random or a future Clue Scroll update.
Sounds like a Trouble Brewing rework if I've heard of it. New reward? No?
No. With Ale of the Gods already out there, of course, this wouldn't be quite as special as it otherwise would have been. But we certainly could. And maybe a bottle would look more interesting than a beer.
Yeah, personally, I feel like it's probably best to come from a Clue Scroll thing. I'm also conscious I don't want to necessarily harm the value of Ale of the Gods and the fact it's a niche effect as well. Next question from Substantial Hit. Do you think in lieu of the meme of sailing as a skill that we could have player-owned ports come to old school? This could be used as an expansion on construction and even locked behind some medium-level quests that would love to see some more pirates.
I too would love to see more pirates. Or indeed developing further with those corsairs that we designed all that time ago.
I like the concept of sailing. I don't like the idea of having this thing you gotta like manage all the time because it kind of feels daily-esque in a sense. I do like the idea of like sailing and stuff like that. Just that whole concept of exploration and maybe sending people to do it for you in some sense and being part of a ship and a crew. But it just needs a lot more of an idea behind it before I think anyone can really get behind it. It just needs fleshing out.
I'd rather do something more interesting with Miscellanea and the Kingdom. And, you know, it's probably feeling a little bit outdated nowadays as a piece of content, and it could arguably be done with some polish, some additional depth added to it. I think it'd be cool.
Need a mod editor.
Next question.
Third quest.
Something about Yetis, isn't it? The next question is from the Quick Venom. Are there any plans to expand the Isle of Souls dungeon? Would love to see more monsters and maybe a broken furnace added to go along with the broken pottery wheel and broken spinning wheel.
I know Mod Arcane really wanted it. Sorry, go on, Ash.
I've not heard any such plans, but given that the Isle of Souls could have functioned very well as a snowflake place for area locked accounts, but there's just a few things it can't do, or indeed it's got a few spawns that Iron players just can't pick up for whatever reason. I wouldn't mind it getting a bit more stuff on it.
Yeah, I think Mod Arcane did a lot of the work for that in terms of he wanted you to be able to have such a wide breadth of content, even if the XP rates are awful, right? Being able to theoretically level up all of your skills. But there's some skills that are just kind of awkward. They're like rune crafting. Like, how do you make a really low-level rune crafting method just exist? Do you need an altar? So it needs some creative solution around that. But yeah, no plans right now.
Awesome. Moving on to the next question from MWRYO. Can we get a monthly behind the scenes like how they were in the old days? Thoughts, Ash? You were around when they was happening?
Well, to some extent, they fulfilled a very similar role as the Gazette. Like, tell players what we're working on, roughly what they can expect in the coming few weeks, and have some space to say what's going on further afield. I think the Gazette, if we can get it resurrected, would do this and more. If we can actually get that back again. But yeah, I would like very much for players to be able to see this week plans, next week Bit for Blood modes, week after that probably a week off for reasons, and whatever's beyond that. I'd like it. You know how we have struggled to be confident on some release dates though, and it is a bigger company these days than it used to be. It's not just enough for us and the producers immediately above us to be confident they know a date. Sometimes things will be a bit higher up the studio before they're okay to reveal. So I'm in favour, although I would favour doing it via the Gazette rather than calling it an entirely separate initiative, especially because I rather like getting additional things in the Gazette. It was able to cover, previews of content months ahead, content that may or may not ever get to a poll, but we had this cool idea and we'd like to see what players thought about it. Accept. God, accept. Anyway, I'm in favour of...
You've been discovered. Yeah, on the topic of the Gazette, and we know it's been obviously several months without having done one for a while. Sorry about that, but the plan is to bring it back very soon. We've been experimenting with different ways to show off the roadmap that look really nice. And the goal is to keep that open communication going. So, all right, a couple more questions, and we'll move on to a question from the chat. Username checks out. Sorry, that was a read. Regarding the frozen door at the Godwas dungeon. I know at the moment it's just a graphic, but I think some things still exist behind there. I mean, rooms, lol. I'm reading out verbatim. Would there ever be the possibility to put a new 5th God Wars boss there, like was done with Nex?
So the things that are kind of behind there, what the player may be seeing is the accept the teleport. Come on, would be the old underwater area that was originally meant to be where you swim when you're getting into the Zamorak zone. The original plan was that you would dive into the water and you'd be in an underwater environment where there'd be aggressive monsters down there. I think the anglerfish model got nicked from there, in fact. And this wasn't done because having just one of the gods be separated by an underwater area like that didn't seem like such a good idea towards launch, so it was shelved and never fully implemented. But that's probably what we're seeing as what looks like it'd be behind the frozen door area. Now, in terms of what old school could put behind that frozen door area, well, the possibilities are endless. Obviously, yeah, we could try and reconstruct Nex as you remember her from pre-EOC days. Might want some balancing changes to some of the stuff she came with, of course, if we did that. But yeah, we'd be able to do that sort of thing.
I'm interested, I don't know if you know, Ash, but was there an actual intention for what would be behind that door in the original God Wars design?
I do not know that. And the developer who led the original God Wars project has been long gone. Personally, I think it was developers loving foreshadowing even without a clear plan.
Yeah.
Something that we have often done ourselves, I think.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I think if they had an idea what it would be, because obviously what ends up happening is the same like we do, right? It could be empty, it could have a plan, but what somebody does with it in future might be different. But anyhow, just curious.
But there was one suggestion long ago before Nex was implemented, where what would be behind it was something that Slisky had tricked some druids into awakening. They'd think they were supporting Gothics and awakening a Gothixian spirit, but in fact it would be aligned to Zaros, and Slisky would have duped these ancient druids into opening it up, which would give us the opportunity to have introduced ancient druid kit from the people who went in there. And if one had to explain, well, why would druids do that? Because they were tricked. That would be the law reason for it, and they'd be very sore about it. So they'd actually be more inclined to help you against the foe in there rather than have to be defeated themselves. Anyway, we didn't go that way. We did Nex instead, and I think it went down very nicely, so no particular regrets. Sorry, on to the next one.
All right, let's move on to the chat questions. So just going to take quite a few of these. 2Q2 asks, can we have a small sneak peek to Tob Hard Mode from Mod Arcane? Some info about an exciting new mechanic, perhaps?
I don't want anything to be spoiled, and whilst it's not a new raid or anything, I still like the idea that people go in and try and figure it out and get surprised here and there. What can I say without ruining any surprises? There are some things that are no longer killable. Does that say enough? I don't know. Maybe.
That's it. That's all you're getting. I tried. Ex-Ballistica asks, does Tob Hard Mode have different drop rates for purples? And what are the drop rates for the cosmetics?
Yeah, so the purple rate has been increased, as well as the rate you get in Vernix slightly decreased, ever so slightly. So technically, once you get good at this, it'll be the efficient way of getting purples. In terms of cosmetic drop rates, no plans to release those right now.
Awesome, thank you, Arcane. Next question from LeBlanc. Why does the Elysian passive 70% chance to absorb 25% damage not work at Wintertodt and Zalcano? It works in Cilia Seps and Volcanic Mine. Shouldn't it work at Wintertodt and Zalcano too? Thoughts, Arcane? Ash?
Really don't know how those decisions came about, having written neither Wintertodt nor Zalcano. Sorry.
I can't imagine it's intentional. It's just that we have a lot of ways to do damage to players, and some will have certain things plugged in, like the Elysian effect, and some don't. So maybe they just chose the one that didn't have it plugged in. Whether that was intentional or not intentional, I don't know.
Well, looking at, even assuming that nobody in a team were to know whether it was intentional, which might be the case, would we be okay changing it? Personally, I think I would.
Personally open to it. Seems like a pretty darn good use for the Elysian as well.
No, panic buy Elysians, I guess.
There you go. Bring up my bag value. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, Ash.
Also, circle.
All right. Disturbed Whirlpool, good name, asks, why can't every clan member join the same clan hall instance? Does that not kind of defeat the point?
Well, they're meant to all end up in the same instance when they go in there. One of our colleagues is looking into a bug where they don't.
Okay, it's a bug that's going to get sorted hopefully soon, if we can work it out. Therine V asks, is there a way to add system messages to all members when someone gets recruited or leaves? A clan, I presume we're talking about here.
Yeah, a message can be sent through the channel to everyone who's currently online. We wouldn't be able to send a more persistent one, I'm afraid, though.
Awesome. Iron Darren asks, would love to see a GE clerk in the clan hall. Also, would be great if we could move things around like we do in the POH. There's a small request there.
It's not that far to a GE, although admittedly we gave you a bank. It wasn't that far to a bank. There's a question to what extent we'd actually want to encourage players to abandon the surface world and just live in the hall all the time, even if they're not alone in there because they've got their buddies. I don't think we're going to take away the GE's sort of unique social hub status at this time, especially not in favour of that. Honestly, if we were to have another GE, I'd have been more interested in thriftiness, on the grounds that you might run into fewer newbies spamming around there. If we wanted to do another GE outlet at all, I think having it inside the clan hall would be just taking too much away from the surface world. Sorry. As for moving things around like you do in a POH, the thing about a POH is that its entire architecture was built in 8x8 boxes. As you've seen, the clan hall is not constructed out of 8x8 boxes. That means we can't really chop it up and rearrange it so easily. We would very much like to be able to give you some customizations, maybe to rent or buy in future or earn in whatever way. But I don't see it ever getting to be as extensive as a POH. Now, of course, those expansions could be done via hotspots. So that'd be a little bit like a POH, but I don't see us moving the structure around to that extent. Do you remember RS3's clan citadels? They got much customization, sure, but basically there were 4 shapes of castle, and that was your lot. Now we've only got 1 shape of castle at the moment. Having more would be feasible, but I don't see us letting you customize exactly where the walls go.
Also, we got time just for probably 2 more questions. So, Cheng on Twitch asks, says they love the Rhapsody music track. Could any sheet music be made available for it?
Well, firstly, thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I think I do have sheet music for that one. I might need to polish it a bit before it's releasable, but yeah, maybe we can stick it on the website, on somewhere on the CDN for downloading. See what we can do.
Awesome. And one last clan question from Younglif. Thanks for the clans, guys. Will there be a clan name display right besides your in-game name or something else? I like to see my own clan more visible outside of the clan panel.
Wouldn't that occupy like half the chat box?
So I think the way that this is done, and when I've seen it done in other games, is you have the sort of shorthand name, like the 3 letters, or 4 letters max in front of your name, kind of thing. So instead of Reign of Terror, Rot, to use the most controversial example I could possibly choose.
Oh, I see. For what it's worth, it's not like we deliberately set the limit of 12 characters to prevent that from being spelt out fully. It was just the limitation the engine came with, I'm afraid. But anywho, yeah, if we can get a system for short names or initials, that would be very handy. For the moment, I'm afraid we're a little limited for storing text on clans. That's why we can't let you just type your own clan title, rank titles as well. Or store proper audit logs of what people have been doing in the clan coffer or ranks and stuff. But if we can in future get the initials or short name, that would be great. So I do not think it's likely to happen anytime soon.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Ash, and thank you, Arcane. That brings us to the end of the questions. I'll quickly touch on the announcements again, and we'll wrap up. So, exclamation mark game update. If you want to hear and read more about the clans update, how to create your clan, find new members, assign hierarchies, everything clans, exclamation mark game update. Next week's update will be Thursday rather than Wednesday, due to the bank holiday in the UK. But that Thursday's update is going to be our 2 brand new modes for our raid, Theatre of Blood. Hard mode and story mode are coming. So really exciting release next week on Thursday, June the 3rd. Not following long after that, in June this year too, we'll have our newest quest, A Kingdom Divided. Exclamation mark AKD for that. It's coming in June 2021. That's the next quest in our Great Kieren storyline. So that's really exciting. There's a ton of cool content on the website for that with exclamation mark AKD. And lastly, if we just bring up the merch again, if that's possible, there's a bunch of new merch going on with exclamation mark merch. You can even have a look at that. Plenty of nostalgic loveliness as the latest merch celebrates all the wonderful things that have launched in this month over the past 20 years. So that brings us to the end. So again, thanks Ash and thanks Arcane, and thanks everyone for watching. Any last words from you two?
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.